said, well, that's before you turn 65, so you're going to get the penalty. Right? So it's going to cost me hundreds of dollars every month for the rest of my life because I didn't take Medicare when I was eligible for it. I waited. I've never taken anything from the government before, ever. And maybe there's a leftist out there that's going to go, well, you ride on the roads, you drive on the roads, you use the fire department. I pay taxes for that too, motherfucker. Like, all right, I don't use the fucking roads. So I will never, ever, 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 ever get back what I paid in. When I look at what I paid in, I'm like, holy fuck. Like, if somebody had given me the option when I was 10 years old to take that money and buy some General Motors stock with it, I'd be worth $20 million.
You know, along those lines, I learned something the other day. It never ceases to amaze me how at 44 years old, I learned something new that I feel like I should have learned when I was 17. The Social Security Fund, apparently back in the 90s, I think it was, Congress was debating putting that money into the stock market, into the S&P 500, as opposed to the low yield treasury funds, I think they were, that they're in right now. And had they have done that, we would be running a surplus on Social Security, and we would never have to worry about losing it in the 2030s.
We wouldn't have $300 trillion in unfunded liabilities.
Wild.
Right?
Wild. Why no one ever said that? Why did I just learn this the other day, Mark?
And then George W. Bush proposed somewhat the same thing. Right? Privatizing a portion of Social Security. Like, okay, if the government can make you pay money for your retirement, okay. We've already decided that the government has the power to do that because that's what Social Security does. It forces you and your employer to pay money every payday into a system. So what would be wrong with forcing people to pay money into an investment that's going to yield you more money? The argument that the left used and progressives used against that was, well, what's going to happen is people aren't going to invest their money in that, and then when they get to be 65, they're going to be broke, and we're going to have to take care of them anyway. So you might as well make them pay into the Social Security system, or if they're not paying into the Social Security system, it's going to go broke. We have to have their money, right?
What was the argument against putting a portion of it in the stock market, in the S&P 500? Is it just toxic risk aversion like everything else the left tends to think?
Probably something about capitalism being bad. Who fucking knows? Right? And as I am wont to say, capitalism promised nothing and delivered the most prosperous, generous nation on earth. The alternatives have promised everything and have delivered 100 countries that have needed over $1 trillion in humanitarian assistance from the United States because they don't understand basic economics.
And hundreds of millions of unnecessary deaths.
Correct.
Side note, hundreds of millions of unnecessary deaths. Mark, you wanted to talk about the D.S.A.?
Man, they are saying some crazy stuff. You know, Scott, they want to abolish the presidency. They want to abolish the Senate. They want to abolish the Supreme Court. They want to abolish prisons. They want to abolish police departments.
I just want to clarify, because I saw what you sent me earlier. These are actual D.S.A. representatives saying this, right?
Oh,
this is not cherry picking out the nutbags. This is mainline what they
These
are. Official representatives are saying.
Yeah, like the state chairman of the D.S.A. whatever. Yeah, absolutely. And just as a side note, every organization has like an executive committee, and at the D.S.A. I call it the Politburo because, you know, they're communists, and that was some kind of rule that the rank and file didn't like, and they were bitching and moaning about it. And I was like, oh, you thought democratic socialism meant it was going to be democratic. Like, fucking idiots, fucking
Yeah,
morons.
because
Holy shit.
human nature doesn't exist, right? We don't need to
You know,
factor that in.
I mean, like the whole notion, like they want to do all these things, you know, abolish the Senate, the Electoral College, prisons, the presidency, etc., the Supreme Court. Have fun, motherfuckers. All of that requires a constitutional amendments, which and a constitutional amendment requires 2/3 of a majority in both houses and ratification by 3/4 of the states. It's like saying you're going to pass legislation for free unicorns and Skittles gardens. It's never going to happen. Your belief system is so wild and insane that not only does it sound stupid, it's impossible for you to achieve it. Now, do I think that you believe that you can achieve it? Yeah, I do. I believe that they believe that at some point their movement is going to get so big they're going to be able to overthrow the government. I believe that. They say they want to overthrow the government. You can't say we're here to protect democracy and then take everything that is the democracy that we have and tear it all away.
I have two things to say about that. These same people complained about some of the more extreme things that Trump wanted to do. And the same thing that stopped him is what's going to stop them, because that's congratulations, welcome to the government. That's how this works. Two, I think the real danger of the D.S.A. isn't that any of these things are going to happen. It's that 15 years ago, these things were fucking crazy and they were seen as fucking crazy. And now they're not really seen as crazy by a lot of young people. And that's fucking scary. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's insane. They absolutely do believe it. Most of their online fan base are communists. Democratic socialism is like the minimum that they're going to be happy with, right? And so, and they maintain these extreme positions about abolishing this and abolishing that. The and yes, that is the most dangerous thing about it. And the second most dangerous thing about it is it's where all the energy is in the Democratic Party. Bernie Sanders runs the party now. Bernie Sanders, AOC, Zohran Mamdani, Karen Bass, the radical fringe far left, this guy that's running for the Senate in Michigan, El Said, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, they run the Democratic Party now. That's where the energy is. That's the direction they've gone. And guys like Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and everyone, somebody said yesterday, they said, it's a very prominent Democrat, very prominent Democratic influencer, Democratic Party influencer with hundreds of thousands of followers, lots of television interviews, who said, yes, I am not going to allow these people to take over my party, right? There have been some people that have been saying that, right? What's his name? Skeletor that worked for Bill Clinton.
James Carville.
Yeah, Carville's been saying that. A few others have been saying. John Fetterman has said, you know, he might leave the party if they keep this going on not recognizing Israel's right to exist.
But these people are all old. Who is the young, rational, centrist Democrat that has any chance of leading versus like an AOC or an Ilhan Omar or a Graham Plattner?
There is one.
Someone who's a Graham Plattner like who doesn't have those negatives, you know.
There is one. This is the very good-looking, very well-spoken, charismatic senator from Georgia named John Ossoff. John Ossoff's problem is that he's Jewish.
Yeah, it's not
right?
going to go very
And the
far.
Democratic Party isn't going to nominate somebody who's Jewish. They're just not.
Too close to Israel.
They're not going to do it, right? And if they did do it, the guy's going to end up with the pro-Palestinian movement protesting everywhere he goes and call him Genocide John. You know, they called Joe Biden Genocide Joe. It's funny, Hunter Biden was on a podcast the other day and he was talking about democratic socialism, and they got some good ideas and we got a big tent. Motherfucker, these are the same people that called your dad Genocide Joe. You can't possibly be that stupid. This whole bit. So, you know, so I told the person that was like, no, we're not going to live. I don't want these people in our party. It's too fucking late. You open the door and now they're in and now they're taking over. So you're forced to say, well, this is a big tent and we welcome new ideas. There's nothing new about the ideas of socialism. Socialist ideas have been around for a long time, controlling the means of production and all the rest of it.
Would you say what's new about this is historically, at least post World War II, you had to grow up, right? Unless you were in academia, right? And you just left college and stayed in the same place. You had to grow up. Is there something that's keeping these kids from growing up and becoming like adults who, they move on that college sophomore phase? They understand how things work. They understand real economics. Or are they just insulated because of social media? They can get all the gratification that way, so they don't really have to experience other people in the real world. What is it? There's something new, right? Socialism's not new, but there's a reason why the D.S.A. has elected 3 people in New York City.
So, yes, it's a young group. It's the 18 to 24 group, 18 to 30. Quote, college-age students are testing at the level of 10-year-olds. There's all the data in
All
that
right.
to back it up, right? It's the second generation of the Department of Education, bro. I know that we had some conversations about how we should not dunk on these kids, they're adults, how we should not dunk on this group because they faced a lot of things that we didn't have to, primarily the COVID thing. They were shut in for a couple of years, and their life has been a lot different than Gen Xers, right? A lot different, Gen Xers and millennials.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're talking about people that have gone through that have graduated college that have never read one of the classics. They've never read one of the classics.
It's pretty embarrassing.
Right?
I wanted to bring something up. Have you heard of Peter Turchin and his idea of elite overproduction?
No. Enlighten me.
So Peter Turchin is a professor at the University of Connecticut. And back in 2010, he put out an article in Nature magazine where he brought up the ideal of elite overproduction. So he basically says that we have too many elites, too many like rich kids that go to college, and we don't have enough jobs for them. We don't have enough things for them to do. And this is similar to what happened in like the French Revolution and more recently in the 1970s. So because of these bored college kids not having anything to do with their energy, they end up turning to things like political violence and political extremism, more or less from what I gathered from what this dude said, something to fucking do. And also because they're not certain about their future, right? They're angry about things that are going to happen. There's too many of these kids. And because it's not someone working on a farm that's joining the D.S.A. and being loud about it, right? It's rich
It's
kid.
well-to-do white kids.
Yes. Almost exclusively.
Almost exclusively. It's well-to-do, spoiled white kids who had a lot of their childhood, their formative years taken away from them during COVID, who spent too much time online, who were not assigned books to read when they were in high school, can't name 5 authors, have never read a classic, don't know the first thing about basic economics. I replied this to Bernie Sanders in a tweet of his where he's talking about some billionaire with a lot of money, and if he would only give a lot of his money away, he could provide health care to this number of people, but he's greedy and wants people to die. Did I give you that a screenshot of that tweet? Does that pretty much summarize what he said?
Yeah, that's in
what
a nutshell.
What did I reply to him with? Now, there's tens and tens and tens of thousands of people that believe that horse shit, right? Now, my reply to him was, Bernie Sanders is worth $3 million. He could provide X number of people health care with 2 million of those dollars and still have $1 million left. But he's greedy and wants people to die. Like, does anybody believe that if you're a United States Senator, which, by the way, your most radical supporters is an institution they want to abolish, hello, and who makes $175,000 a year plus speaking fees gets to keep the $1 million? Does anybody think that that's not enough money for one guy or a guy and his wife? Well, of course not. It's plenty of money for anybody, right? But you don't get to decide that it's your job to take what somebody else earned over and above what he pays in taxes and give it to somebody else because you believe they're greedy and people are dying.
Especially when the individual that's doing that and making that accusation, they could work more hours, right? They could do something to make more money and give that money to charity. They could do that and actually make a difference.
You can give it back to the government if you want. Government, the Treasury has a program where you can give them money. You can give them money. You want more people to have health care? Give the government some of your money. But you're already paying. We already pay taxes. And you and I have been through this. The top 1% pay half of all income taxes, right? This whole notion that the rich don't pay any taxes and they don't pay their fair share, etc., on and on, is a canard. It's a lie.
Bullshit.
It's lies all the way down. Yes, billionaires have a lot of money. Yes, if they gave a lot of it away, it would help people. What billionaires do with that money, the vast majority of billionaires, is not only is that money that they have not sitting underneath a mattress in their house, they're hoarding money. They're hoarding money. That money is in stocks. It's in investments. It's in investment funds that are loaning money out to small businesses. It's in banks. It's in credit unions that are loaning that money out to families to buy furniture with, to buy cars with, to buy homes with. That money's literally part of the economy.
All of it. In all these cases, and these billionaires, by the way, if you look it up, it's almost all of it. They'll have some emergency fund, but everything is in some kind of investment.
It's what they do. It's money that's part of the economy.
Yeah.
It's literally part of the economy. It's not a pile of cash in a vault somewhere. These people have
And who would you blame for these kids not knowing that? Would it be a certain generation of a certain governmental department?
Yeah, it's the first and second generation of the Department of Education. Yep.
It's amazing. Like, I used to make fun of you for giving them so much shit, but the more I think about it, yeah. I mean, it really comes back to education.
It really does come back to
what you learn in school and from your peers and from society and culture and fucking movies and TV shows, unfortunately, make you believe what you believe. People don't look at facts and they don't come to their conclusions through rationality. That's just not how a human mind works, right? You have to really work for that to be the case.
I'm not the first person to use the term the TikTok generation, right? If you were 18 to 24 years old and testing at the level of a 10-year-old, that is an utter failure of the education system. And if you add on to that, your supplemental education comes from TikTok and social media and from the algorithms that you're fed. If you start off your career on social media, you're beginning, you're dipping your toes into the pool to see how warm it is, and you're 16 years old or 15 years old, and somebody said, and you see something like, nobody should have to go hungry in America. Food is a human right. And you click on a couple of things like that, a couple of taglines, so emotionally based taglines. Water is a human right. Nobody should have to pay for water. Right? The newest term that I recently heard is eviction violence.
That's a good one.
So if you don't pay your rent to the property owner and you get evicted, they're calling it violence. But the algorithms are going to feed you all of that stuff, all of that garbage, all of that idiotic, inane, emotionally based shit. None of it based in reality or the real world, economics, work, savings, investment, etc. And yeah, I've seen it over and over and over again. The videos of young kids and they're struggling. They're working 40 hours a week at Starbucks and they're having a hard time paying their rent.
I have you heard of Caleb Hammer and his internet show on YouTube, Financial Audit?
Yes,
Amazing. The show is the cathartic release from him. Have you watched actual full episode of the show?
I have not. And thanks for that. Thanks for that tip.
You absolutely must. The
I
clips are
love
great.
Caleb Hammer.
The clips are great. He's great. But watching a full episode, and a lot of it's show, it's real, but it's still show, right? So it's like they agree to it. There's a little bit of Jerry Springer, but these people are actually real. What they're talking about is actually real, right? But there's a little back and forth. There's a little bit of a show, but at the heart of it is actual real shit. And seeing these people throughout the course of an hour, hour and a half, however long, just getting ripped into and getting told how it is your agency and your failures that are leading you to your financial position, and seeing some of them actually I got addicted to it and went through like watching like 20 episodes in a row, but seeing some of them actually realize it is so fucking refreshing to see. It's so refreshing to see.
One of the things in the D.S.A platform is to reduce the work week to 32 hours. Apropos of what you just said with Caleb Hammer, the people that he talks to and the people that we see online all the time, they think working 40 hours a week is a lot. They think I work 65 hours a week at least at my age, right? Now,
It's because you didn't fucking sign up for Medicare on time.
yeah. So, and I worked more than that when I was their age. And I had a roommate, right? And I decided not to live in the most expensive neighborhood in New York or San Francisco. I worked in cities like that. I did live in Washington, D.C. for a while. It wasn't as expensive then as it is now. The growth of
Can,
government, the growth of government has made it, super expensive, and the growth of government contractors.
can you help me think through something in real time that just popped into my head, please? Entitlement is basically based on ignorance. If you're only entitled because you don't know, or actually maybe just don't let it sink in and don't really realize how bad it could be or what it's like to be somebody else, right? There can be all kinds of entitled, poor, rich, entitled people. There's people. I watched a clip of an actress saying something. The actress happened to be black. I only mention that because it's relevant. And she said something to the effect of, "I don't see me taking a job as some acting job as something I take from somebody else, but as something that's owed to me." And just that kind of mentality seems so gross to me. Right? But does it come from ignorance?
It
Where's
comes
that
from
come from?
envy. It comes from envy. And it comes from envy because I believe that somewhere around 30 or so years ago, there's no way to pinpoint it exactly, but somewhere around the middle of the millennial generation up through this Gen Z generation, kids were not taught a lot of things when they were young that every other generation before them were taught through things like Aesop's fables. The sky is not falling. Henny penny and the sky is falling isn't real, right? Climate change, the sky isn't falling. Money does not grow on trees. You are not owed anything. Killing the goose that laid the golden egg isn't going to make your life better, right? Getting rid of billionaires or taking all their money isn't going to help you. The government taking all their money isn't going to help you. That's for sure. The government's not going to give it to you. The government's.
The fact that real basic standard economics of how the world works, where tax money comes from, how wealth is created, the fact that that's not taught in schools is a sin. It's a
I mean,
sin
I think
created on the young
what
people.
was the book that Jordan Peterson wrote? Rules for Life. What were that?
12
10
rules
rules
for
for.
life.
Okay, so I kind of think of like the basics that we were taught as kids through Grimm's fairy tales, Aesop's fables, etc., etc. The Emperor Has No Clothes.
The
What's
Boy Who Cried Wolf is a
the
big
Boy
one.
Who Cried Wolf?
The
The
Grasshopper and the Ant, about
Yes,
working and saving up
on
your
and on.
fucking shit.
All of those things were like the equivalent of the rules for life that everyone should learn at a very young age. And if you're never taught that, then every lens you're looking through is going to be through like some kind of entitlement, some kind of envy, some kind of disaster awaits. The sky is falling. We have to do this to prevent that. We have this drama generation where everything is a crisis, right?
Hmm.
They read a story about a person evading an ICE officer who tries to hit the ICE officer with their car and gets shot. And they cry about it for 2 weeks. And I'm not saying that that's not a tragedy. They have no tears for anybody who was killed, but for any of the thousands of people that were killed by illegal aliens. Zero tears for them. Your only tears are for a tragedy that shouldn't have happened, but the algorithms are feeding you ICE is bad. We should have open borders and love and caring, and deportation should be abolished, and all of these other leftist
You only
far.
care about the tragedies that your friends talk about and that the algorithm feeds you. Why do you care about Gaza, but you don't care about 500,000 people killed in the Syrian civil war? What, those Muslims matter less to you because there's no people that you consider as white involved? George Floyd is the be all end all of all tragedies. Seriously, man? Seriously, you're
And
being
George Floyd,
fucking
yes, he was
led.
murdered
You're being
by
led.
he was murdered by a bad cop.
Is it worth years of your life and devotion? It's worth a this sucks. It's a worth a this sucks and this is awful. Yeah, but how much is it worth? How much of your time? There's
When it's framing your entire worldview. So this gets back to Aesop's fables, Grimm's fairy tales, and a lot of the books that were had read to us and that we learned to read on our own. Certainly by the age of 7. In my case, earlier. Probably in your case, earlier.
well, you
Like
started working at 10, so you probably started reading at 1.5.
I was probably reading Dostoevsky when I was 8.
Yeah, that makes sense.
um, Now I tell you what I might have been reading when I was 8 was a note that my dad left, which was get your ass off the fucking couch and go weed my garden.
That's even better than
You know?
Dostoevsky. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, and so we find ourselves once again kind of dunking on a generation that both of us I know have a lot
Are
of.
I'm
uh,
sorry, but are we really dunking on them? We're dunking on the algorithm, right? We're dunking on the Department of Education, right? I still feel sorry for them. Like, yeah, you kind of dunk on the kids and you dunk on the spokespeople for the D.S.A. that are still young people, right? Because they're the ones that are. And if you go out there in the light, you kind of even us with the little thing that we do, we're inviting it to some degree.
Yeah,
It is what it is. It's not a big fucking
no,
deal.
you're right. It's through no fault of their own in most cases. 90% of the cases, they were failed. They were failed by the adults that were around them.
Yeah.
They were failed by their teachers, by their parents, and many, many others.
Including the second generation of the Department of Education.
Oh my fucking god! The absolute worst. Thank God we're getting rid of that fucking department. I mean, it's on its way out. We've fired I don't know how many of the bureaucrats that are there,
This
or
is
at
just
least.
proof that not only can money be spent stupidly, but it's possible for the federal government, for any government, to spend money and have it be counterproductive and actually be worse than if they had not spent the money at all. Audits all the way around.
And before we close out, since we're talking about government and what it spends money on, did you hear about Zoran Mamdani's new program about babysitting?
No, tell me.
He wants New York City to provide free babysitters for couples that want to go out on a date.
That's the best idea I've ever had. Yeah, go ahead. That's total good use of my. Does he just say shit? Does he just like, oh, what kind of like weird fucking
The notion that the government should be involved with whether or not you get a night out with your spouse, and that it's somehow the government should have somebody available to babysit your kids, is just, I don't know, man. That's just like fucking, that's just like, I can't even process that.
like most things that socialists want, the only way that any of this can actually come to be is through technological advancement, which includes AI. Stop protesting data centers because if you need an AI and a robot to watch your kids if you want to go out on your date because the government can't afford it.
Scott, it was lovely talking to you as usual.
Yes, right
Give
back
my
at you.
best to all my friends in California. I can't wait to come see you.